What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're going to be playing around with that social media fire, Outpost Infinity Siege. This is one of those games that's been making the round on TikTok. It's been making the rounds on Twitter. It's gone viral a whole bunch of times, and the game is finally out, and I have played it for around, I think, 10 hours across 2 different campaigns just to test things out so that I could bring you today's video and let you know whether it's good or not so that you can make an educated decision. If you've never seen Outpost Infinity Siege before, Outpost Infinity Siege, very difficult game to describe to people. Like, incredibly difficult to describe to people, but it's a game that wears a lot of hats. It was marketed as a tower defense game, and it is, but it's also a roguelite, it's also an extraction shooter, it's also a semi-quasi-open world game where you, like, harvest and find things in between to upgrade your base. But the rough storyline is that of the Terminator. We invented AI, the AI went rogue, it actually won, humanity has been wiped out, it's now post-apocalyptic, and we are a super soldier that has been tasked with using a mobile base to start establishing outposts and accomplishing missions all across the game world in order to allow humanity to establish a foothold back in the real realm. It's got RPG elements, it's got looter-shooter elements, it's got Diablo elements. This thing has a lot of stuff going on with it, and so this is going to be one of those videos you got to buckle up for. But if after watching this, you wanted to get the game for yourself, I got a link for you down below in the description. You can check that out there. The game is not in early access as far as I know. The game is currently in final release. And so there is some bugs, there's a lot of jank here actually. There's a lot of bugs and a lot of jank that we need to talk about. But there's also, I think, like a core of nougaty, like, goodness inside of this one that may ultimately be fixable. Down in the bottom, you'll also find a link to my Discord and my Twitch stream, just in case you wanted to hang out live. I did record on Twitch and my VODs. The process that it took for me to get to where I am right now inside the confines of the game. So you can see that along with, as well, get some more in-depth thoughts, because it's like a 5-hour, 4-hour stream, which means a lot more thoughts come out versus, you know, being able to record for 30 minutes with some editing and try to get it all across. But right now what you're seeing is the final base defense element of the game. And we'll kind of talk about what goes into this title, because the first phase of the game is a roguelite. You are effectively going out to scavenge kind of Chernobylite-style maps in order to find resources to build up your base so that it can hold off more enemies effectively. And then from there, based on the amount of loot that you want to extract, extraction gets more and more difficult and the enemies get nastier and nastier, giving it kind of like a risk-reward element, I guess, on top of that. Let's call the evac out right now and escape. Along the way, every enemy you kill is going to give you XP. You're going to level up. That's going to increase your HP and your armor rating and give you skill points that you can use to customize your character. And then, of course, from there, you also have research and kind of XCOM elements where you've got different districts back in the home base, where you can research new weapons and you can get new upgrades and things of that nature. There's our boat on out of here. There's a huge narrative campaign that's quite possibly one of the worst voice acted I've ever seen in a video game. It's very disjointed and paced very, very oddly. But let's get back on into the headquarters so that we can show you everything fresh, and then from there we'll go into one roguelite run. We'll talk about the mechanics and things that you'll be playing around with along the way as you build up your outpost. Maybe you'll be able to see another final showdown, but we'll give it all a go. So this is our base right here. It's comprised of a number of different parts that I've unlocked over the course of this campaign. Everything from where my stuff is stored to like a trading port where I can take money that I've found on missions and spend it with vendors. There's a research center where we'll do R&D and manufacturing objects to make our base a harder target to kill while it's spider walking around the landscape. There's an RTS element to the game where you've got like a barracks over here where I just unlocked this, so I don't actually know how the whole thing works. But you have other squad guys that will show up. I think I have like spies right now that I can play around with. And it's not showing my other squad guys over here, so I'm guessing they're for other stuff. But you get little guys that you can equip out that follow you into combat, and you can kind of like RTS deploy them around, or at least that's been implied so far from what I've seen. You've got the intelligence center where you can send people out on missions, and they're kind of like secret agents, and they'll bring back different resources, kind of like the scav case, I guess, in Escape from Tarkov, or they'll make like your next mission easier or something else like that. This is where the money happens over here. This is where you've got your giant mobile base, and you're going to be able to equip it and like put stuff on it. So for right now, mine is not that large. I've only got like a couple of platforms after 4 or 5 hours of playing the game, and like 4 machine guns. There are some interesting interactions in this game where you can break the machine guns off of the turrets and carry them yourself and like fire them at the enemy. There are vehicles like tanks and mechs and stuff like that. I haven't gotten there yet. I got to play around with the tanks and mechs in the opening cinematic sort of battle of the game, which you can see over on Twitch, where you got to be in like a walker mech and walk around and destroy stuff. But there's a lot of moving parts to this game, and a lot of them bump elbows, but at the same time, I really want to like the game, given the sheer volume of stuff you can do inside of it and the sheer volume of things that are available for the player to play around with. For right now, in between missions, I need to go to the research center, and I need to take a look at some of my researches. It looks like I've gotten most of the junior researches done, except for the next expansion of my ATC, which is my base on Spider Legs. These take a little while to get done. You have to do a certain number of missions before these finish. And so I'm still waiting on material crates and generators. Your base does have stats. It generates a certain amount of electricity. It generates a certain amount of ammunition. It generates, a certain amount of resources that you can use as sort of, I guess, a bargaining chip to make the game easier, more difficult. Over here, I need just one more base to a machine gun turret to get another machine gun base. Over on this side, I need a bunch more basic materials, though, to get the utility tiles that I need. So I think we may have to go out on a mission here. So let me show you what that looks like. So inside the Nexus, we can kit out and we can get ready for a mission. This game does have equipment and stuff like that that you take in with you. And if you die, you do lose that equipment, and you'll have to find more of it and kind of farm your way back to where you are. We'll talk about the gun and the armor and the equipment and how that all functions probably when it comes up naturally while we're playing the game. But for right now, I've got a number of different types of ammos and consumables and things like that I've crafted outside of combat before I go in the mission to make my life a little bit easier. We'll just go ahead and confirm our level 20 guy before we go any further. Your gear doesn't change when you equip armor. That's a little bit above a bummer. I would have liked to have seen it. But the next storyline mission is in the border woods for me, so I'll go ahead and knock that on out. The game does have an endless mode that is purely, from what I can tell, I haven't played it yet, I just unlocked it, and you got to jump through some hoops to get there. But in deploying to this map right here, there's 4 or 5 maps, each with 3 difficulties. And then the way that it works is your command tower can produce a certain amount of electricity, and it takes that electricity to move around the map. But there's also random objects all over the map that'll have roguelite mechanics that give you run-wide buffs in exchange for your power or your resources. And so it's a constant push and pull between trying to decide whether or not you want to spend resources on moving around the map and doing lots of missions and lots of exploration and open world wandering, or do you want to get a bunch of buffs and go to the final showdown as fast as possible and just kind of get your way through it. But for right now, we'll go ahead and pick this location. It is the forest town, and we'll drop on in there. It's going to take us about 5 seconds to get there. I've got the game on hard difficulty right now, and this is the first point of friction, is that this game its pacing is all over the place. Like, this game's pacing is much too slow compared to the cinematic epic opening that the game has in the first 30 minutes or so. This game opens really, really, really strong, and then proceeds to put you on maps that are just utterly no threat to you the entire time that you're playing the game. Even on hard difficulty, I don't think I've really encountered any exploration mission that was actually difficult. Like, it's just not that hard of a game, and so my first thought was that the easy difficulty should be the same as hard, and they should go up from there. But let's drop on into this location, and we'll see if we can find some loot. This is free exploration. I can come and go as I please. I can leave whenever I want. This map typically does not have enemies on it. It may have a couple, but usually this map doesn't have enemies at all. I know... Oh, there's enemies right there. Never mind. Turn on the flashlight and we'll waste some robots real quick. I'm going to blast that open. There is environmental destruction in this game. I would recommend you carry a lot of grenades for blowing up stuff that's just like laying around, because you can actually break things into constituent parts by blowing them up. It can sometimes be difficult to figure out which stuff can be shot and which stuff can be blown up. Just simply based on you got to shoot it. Like, so if it takes damage when you shoot it, it can probably be destroyed. If it doesn't, then it's a permanent object that just lays around. And this gameplay right here is going to have a lot in common with something like Escape from Tarkov. You go into the map, you try to loot as many things as possible while trying not to die, and then you take them back to the craft. When you initiate evac, they basically airlift off the cargo to like a storage area. Oh, there was gold bars up here. That's money for the shop when we get back to town. And then from there, every enemy on the map is going to rush your tower if you haven't killed them yet. You'll hold them off, and then the mission is over, and you go to the next map. But along the way, there will be little consoles and things you can interact with around here that will sometimes give you run-wide buffs, which is where the roguelite influence comes from, is that your run-wide buffs actually do kind of matter in this game. That it was a drone inside of there? It was. I don't think I have the DPS to kill him either. Yeah, I tried. I don't know what that's ultimately going to do. I've triggered that drone a couple of times while playing through the game, and it doesn't seem to, like, affect too much. But we'll grab some of the goodies around here, and then we'll evac, because the second and third missions tend to be the ones that are a little bit more interesting and a little bit more target-rich. This building over here is usually locked. The game does reuse the same maps for the same sectors every time you play through it. There's a Zen chest right there that's going to be used for customizing my gun. This guy right here, if I had a power bank, I could power this up and it would open that door right there. Sometimes the power bank spawns, sometimes it doesn't. It just depends on how the loot spawns each time you play through. And we'll grab some goodies over here, a polymer and a liquid metal. Let's just head back to the craft and go to the next mission. So at the end of the mission, you're going to want to load all the stuff that you looted into this little container right here, and it'll take it back to base for you. I've got those ammo crates. I'm going to keep those because I can use those on myself or on my turrets to reload them. Probably keep the grenades on me too in case I need to blast any doors open. Throw the money in there. We're not really going to need it. Consumables can go inside of there, and we'll start the recovery. And if there's any enemies on the map, they'll rush us, but I promise you my auto blickies will sort them on out. Now, when you complete a mission, you get a roguelite buff as well, which you'll see here when I get done with exploration. They're going to give you what is effectively a thing that will only last for this run. So we can get an extra container. It gives us a large recovery device next to the base on recovery day. Or we can increase the size of our backpack for the rest of the run. I'm going to take the backpack upgrade. And then we've got a forest town right there. We've got a forest town right there. We've got, I don't even know what that is. Let's maybe go for this forest town right here. I can skip over it for some of my electricity, but I don't have a lot of electricity yet. I haven't really gotten to round out my craft to have a lot of electricity just yet. And so I can usually only do like 3 or 4 hops before I have to go back. I have been working on it. I have been adding more batteries and more generators and more stuff like that, but it's a process that you have to go through. This gun right here is called the Zen gun. You're going to be playing with this gun for the rest of the game, and you mod it to do the things that you want it to do. So if you want fast fire rate like I have right now and sort of like an AK-47 style feeling or like an RPK feeling, you can do that. If you want it to be like an SMG, you can do that. I haven't found any shotgun stuff just yet, but you can have a DMR if you want to, and that's done through the gun modding system. These maps are going to be squirrel-holed with loot that you can play around with and get for yourself. There we go. We'll knock him out real fast. There's going to be loot crates. If you hear that beeping? That beeping right there is an equipment crate. And your character does have room for equipment. So you've got the Zen gun over here. You can put different barrels on it. You can put different grips and different stocks and different hollow sights and sniper scopes on it. That will change what the gun does with regards to damage and with regards to defense. But from there, your gun also gets injections of kind of like this bio-android fluid that you'll find called Zen. And if you look over on the right, I've got light, trigger finger, and recovery on here. Light and trigger finger, they both make my gun fire faster so that it's like a machine gun. And then recovery gives me a chance to get a bullet back every single time I hit an enemy because ammo economy in this game has me printing a lot of ammo a lot of the time. And then kinesis, you can actually change. That's the type of bullet that's inside of the gun. There's different bullets you can get. Cryo bullets, fire bullets, all that kind of stuff. I knew it, dude. I knew he was going to try to rush me. I'm a little low on ammo. Let me break open an ammo crate real fast. And the Zen is where really the customization of your gun comes into itself. I have no complaints about those systems. I think those systems are pretty good. I think there's a bunch of robots behind this door. Yeah, and they're trying to break through right now, so maybe we'll deal with them a little bit later. I do have grenades, so technically I could blast these open, kill the guy behind it. Let's just throw that right there. That thing's a face sucker. They jump onto your face and explode and kill you. Luckily, our character's immortal, so we just respawn back at the tower. But you do drop loot when you die that way. The real way of losing the game is if the core of your base gets destroyed. That sends you all the way packing and you lose just about everything. You can't mid-run save in this. It'll just take you back to the beginning of the level that you were playing when you logged out with all of your loot. If you need to evac and go back to town, you lose everything as though you had died. Man, lots of lockpicks required for this place, huh? How strong is this door? 100? Do you have any more grenades? I do have a few more grenades. Yeah, throw a pyro grenade over there. Pyro grenade does not actually affect doors. So what I could do is I could just machine gun it open. However, when you break stuff down, it has a chance to summon a bunch of enemies on you that you're going to have to deal with, and we've got chasers on us. This right here is a buff console. If we activate it, we'll get a free turret during the final showdown that we can deploy. There's a safe in here that looks like it has a blue pair of gloves, which might be good for us. We've also got another Zen mod over here, but it's a green mod, so I'm not really that excited about it. Hopefully the hunter killers don't rock up on us too soon. I think my gloves also have a special ability on my F key, so I may be able to blast open doors that way. Where are the drone things that are trying to hunt me? There's a guy right there. We'll take him on out. One thing you'll notice pretty quickly about this game, and in fact the reason why I think the game is too easy, is that the AI has very low awareness of the player. They don't aggro until you're like catastrophically close to them. They also have bad pathfinding, which means that they frequently don't really have any due recourse to get after you. Even if they can get to you, they're not really a threat. I'd like to see them ramp up the difficulty of the game considerably, considering the fact that you need to go through a long, like hours-long campaign to unlock the endless mode and the co-op mode. Hey, that worked great. And most of it is spent doing kind of risk-free looting, walking around maps where nothing is really a threat to you. And I think that's a big point of friction with me with the game, is that I wanted the game to be tough and nasty, you know what I mean? Like, I wanted it to be sort of a Tarkov-style extraction shooter where the world is after you, but this game is just not that. It's a very, very easy game when you're playing the campaign mode. It's not really going to push up on you too hard. Wipe him out real quick. That's one of the hunter-killer drones right there. It's a RoboCat that tries to hunt you across the map, and it summons when you make a bunch of noise by breaking down doors or kicking things and stuff like that. I need to manufacture some ammo back at the base, so I may bang that out real quick too, and if the hunter-killers come here, the turrets should just get them, and it shouldn't be that big of a problem. Those are grenade gloves right there, so basically just a better version of what I already have. So I'll throw those on in. I've seen a couple different types of gloves and helmets and things you can get that give you special abilities. I've had gloves that allow me to scan for loot in an area every like 60 seconds or so. These ones shoot a grenade. I like the ones that shoot a grenade because it allows me to get through doors if I don't have a lockpick without wasting ammo. And so I tend to prefer them. Let's throw all of our goodies inside of here real fast just to make room. I know what I need off of these maps, but there's really no guarantee that I'm going to find it around. Increases a bullet's travel speed. There is bullet velocity in this game. You will have to lead enemies. You will have to aim above them and whatnot for bullet drop if they're far off in the distance. That's just something to keep in mind. I got to find the rad source extract. Well, I came here for something specific. Okay, we got to like find that then for the mission to let us leave. Let's look around and see what we can find. As it turns out, there's a downed airliner over here. These things are always hidden really, really well. There it is. If you ever get stuck, the game doesn't explain this to you, but if you ever get stuck and you can't figure out where the objective's at, you can spend 5 power to scan the area, and it will tell you exactly where the object is, which is what I had to do right there, which is a little bit embarrassing. But we're ready to leave. So let's get on out of here. But the gun customization and the gunplay in this game feel pretty good to me. I don't hate it. I do wish there was a little bit more variety to the fire modes and patterns and things that you could access, but since the enemy's not really a threat anyways, it doesn't really matter, does it? But for right now, I feel like shooting the guns has been a thing that I've been totally fine with. I'll convert some of my resources into power grid, and then once recovery's done, we can just evac out of here. There we go, and that's our second map done right there. A much more interesting map, if I'm being honest. We can get a free 30mm light gun during the showdown if we want. That sounds pretty good. We've only got a little bit of power left. There's a railway station and a deserted town. I do need basic building materials. I need like a lot of them, so I'm going to walk this thing on over here and hopefully we can get I can't get enough basic building materials, dude. I've got so much scrap metal and other stuff, can't get the basic building materials. And I want to expand the floor plan of my base and have like rooms and things like that, but it's pricey. But for now, so I got to find a composite fiber container. All right, there's no fall damage to be spoken of in this game. You can launch yourself off any cliff that makes you happy. Go ahead and do it. I didn't have enough space to evac everything on the last go, and so I'm going to do it now, I guess. We got some plant extracts in there, too. Doesn't look like there's too many things. As far as exploration goes, the maps are pretty samey once you've played them all. You'll recognize the layouts and the buildings. You will occasionally find something interesting on a map, and I don't know if it's like a rare spawn or not, but I found like sprawling underground bunkers from time to time that have like little voice logs in there and like research logs and things of that nature. I don't know if those spawn every time you're on the map, and I only found them on like my second or third go, or if they're like a rare spawn. The game does tell you how many blueprints you still have on any given map. Before you can just stop playing that map. That robot over there is not aware of me. Good. I'm going to be like a glass lubricated ghost. Down they go. That guy's not aware of me. They definitely need to increase the detection range of pretty much every single mob in the game. And the shooting range, more specifically, for most of the mobs that have guns. They have to get too close before they can hurt you. Elemental rotor. Okay, don't know what that does, but I guess I'll worry about it later. And we've got a pimp cup over there, metal slabs. We've got a capacitor that's good for building batteries. I can always use more of those. We've got some ammo right there. Don't worry, they can't see through fences, even when they're chain link, for whatever reason. We got some pyro ammo right there, high energy compounds, cryo ammo on that side. Should be good to have. Oh, it looks like we can get on the roof. Yeah, we can. And there's a gear chest over here. So grenade gloves +2. And then we also have equip your core tower with a 30mm light gun. Yeah, sure, why not? Doesn't cost me any power. Oh, we attracted chasers. Okay, so they're going to try to get me with the kitty bots. That's okay because they're adorable and I want to pet them, so I don't really care that they're after me. I will convince them to become my feline friend, whether they like it or not. A few more bots up here. We'll go ahead and waste them real quick. Hey, buddy. What you doing? Just out for a casual little walk? I respect it. You got to get your steps in, man. Get your cardio all taken care of. I could break down the tires on this car for some loot, but I don't think I particularly need it. There's something right there, though. 20 bucks? I'll definitely take 20 bucks. 20 bucks sounds great. I would always check cars if you're low on money or you're low on ammo. There always seems to be money and ammo in cars for some reason. And of course, as with all civilized societies, everyone in this universe does all of their business utilizing gold bullion. That's actually the only way that any business gets done in this universe. The chargers aren't on me yet, which is kind of weird. Is there anything around back? There's another... Oh my goodness. Just keep firing. Swap out an armor plate real fast. Most of the consumable items in this game, they do have a good animation. If you drink a water bottle, it looks like drinking a water bottle. If you put it in an armor plate, it looks like putting in an armor plate. If you eat a chocolate bar, it eats a chocolate bar, so they didn't go the lazy route where they do one eating animation for every food in the game. That's a very, very nice touch right there that I don't mind too much. We've got increases of bullets travel speed. Okay. What else we got around here? Dude, I don't want to have to scan for this objective. I'm going to feel like an idiot if I got to scan 2 missions in a row. to figure out where the damn thing is. An automotive capacitor. That's new. Never found one of those before. Don't know what it does, but it seems like it's useful. We may be able to jump up on the roof, and there it is. Like I said, dude, search these maps carefully. Sometimes they hide the objective in, like, the strangest spots. Let's go ahead and we'll put this back on. Like, it's always in, like, a logical spot, like a point of interest. But sometimes it's on the roof. Like, sometimes it's in a bunker, like, a million miles beneath it, and you just didn't see the trapdoor. All kinds of little things like that. Vault that real fast. Head back on over here, and we'll evac. We're going to head back to town. And in heading back to town, hopefully we can get ourselves all situated with some new tech. I've got, like, all these spots that I need to put floors on so that I can have more guns. But I just can't find building materials, and I don't know why. Maybe I'll be able to salvage something later on to make that more likely. I do have scrap metal, but I don't need scrap metal. I need other things. Let me manufacture an ammo box while I'm over here, too. Might as well. I've got an ammo builder right here that costs me electricity and parts. We'll regular recover. The chasers should try to push up on me the second that goes off. And there it is. Where's the chaser at? Oh, over there. Or just another robot over there? Okay. Oh, is that a research canister? Hold up. I need that. That's a research canister. Gives you tech points so that you can do research, so that you can unlock new technologies and things to make your base more awesome. And like that, we're out of here. Our buff is that we can increase the amount of ammo on our weapons by 100%, which is actually pretty huge. So I'll probably go ahead and do that. When you run out of electricity and you don't really have any more stuff to sacrifice, you just click on the initial tile and you tell them that you want to go back. We'll put that all in there. We've got 1,300 gold's worth of stuff inside of there, so I don't know if this is going to trigger the boss. Sometimes if you have a lot of high-value stuff, it triggers a boss. I also wasn't paying attention for how long it said that I was going to have to hold the line. This is the build mode. Inside the build mode, you can take all your additive bonuses that you've had over the course of your run, and you can add things on in like so. So I can put a turret right there. I've also got another small machine gun right here that I think I would be okay with deploying on that side, just so we can put even more scow on the enemy. There's barricades, there's artillery cannons, there's all kinds of little things that you can do out here. I don't know precisely where I want to put this. It costs 3 hundo. Maybe I'll drop it right there on the sacrificial position. There's also nodes on this where they've got power generators. They've got themselves resource generators as well. You can play around with those more in the endless tower defense mode. Unfortunately, you got to make it really far into the game before they give you access to the endless tower defense mode. So hang in there. You got to play the campaign for a long time before you get co-op and also the endless mode. And here comes the enemy, drop podding in right on top of us. So we got one coming in from the right and a bunch of them coming in from right there. This shouldn't be too bad. We should be able to hold this for a little while. We got to last for about 6 minutes. So while I do that, I might as well throw together my thoughts about the game for like a complete list at the end, now that I've showed you some gameplay and how the game functions. I do have some thoughts about this title. I think I've hit like most of them along the way, but let's get them all into one place. So this is a strange one at the end of the day. Like, I can feel myself wanting to like it because the opening of the game is so damn rad, but when you really actually get into the thick of a tough defense fight, it's a lot of fun. It seems to have fallen victim to being a camel of too many ideas, and most of those ideas are built on top of the tour mode, which is unfortunately not very interesting or challenging. You're going to explore the same maps ad nauseum, you're going to loot the same spots, you're going to fight the same patrols, and while increased difficulty levels help, the game really drags for the first 3 or 4 hours. The issue, as I see them at the moment, starting with the negatives, the enemy AI, their density, their awareness, their shot tracking, their shot range, they're not good enough to make them compelling enemies in an open-world exploration map. If you boost all those things up and possibly even make the main character fight off waves while exploring, if they take too long, that would spruce it up a little bit and drive back into the defense gameplay and make going out into the wilds a little bit more interesting. As I mentioned, pacing is a large issue here. You shouldn't have to play a game for 3 or 4 hours to get to the fun parts, and yet everything in Outpost is so drip-fed and tied to the campaign progress that I doubt many players are going to make it that far. You don't get endless mode, and you don't get co-op until many hours into the campaign, depending on how much you customize and explore, and those things should just be on the main menu as options to play from the start. Most of this marketing around this game, it's centered on it being an epic-based defense game, and yet once you get in, you've got to power through hours and hours of just the worst voice-acted campaign you will ever play with absolutely zero challenge just to get to that point. I don't think most people are going to make it. Steam forums are also reporting people on high-end rigs like mine are getting a crash right as the game starts up, leaving it unplayable for a big chunk of people too. I didn't have that issue, but a lot of people are. The ammo system in this game, it's going to throw people for a loop. You may have noticed during my play that the number is not 1-for-1 on bullets. It adjusts the consumption and how much you have based on how you've kitted out your gun, and the game does an awful job of explaining this and many other mechanics inside of here. You will fumble with things because it will not teach them to you, and figuring out the strange localization in English is going to be a bit of a hurdle to jump. From there, I enjoyed some of the gameplay, but I wish the enemy was more of a threat on the exploration map. There needs to be a timer, there needs to be a hook, there needs to be tension, there needs to be some kind of threat to searching just one more building or trying to find the key objective inefficiently. A punishment for not doing things efficiently, since there isn't really that much to explore anyways once you've seen the same maps 50 times. I like kitting out my weapon, I liked the randomized Diablo loot, and I very much enjoyed the bigger defenses at the end of some of the later runs based on the value of your cargo. That's a really, really good hook, but it's underutilized, and so the game ends up being this weird camel that I really want to like. And I did start enjoying the game after 3 or 4 hours, but make no mistake, I was really bored during the first 3 or 4 hours before I got to the stuff that actually interested me, like the fight that you're seeing right now. I think faster access in the campaign to building bigger bases earlier, more resources to find, a lot more ammo, or eliminating ammo entirely except for the special types would be a good idea there too, because you know, it doesn't seem like you hit hard enough to justify constantly crafting ammo like around the clock. The stamina meter's kind of the same way. As far as I could tell, it doesn't really have any function other than slowing you down while exploring. You outrun everything easily, just in normal speed mode. Performance was okay, worked out fine, even with hundreds of enemies on screen. I didn't have any hitches or problems there. But I think that really what it comes down to is the exploration mode drug this game down. It feels tacked on. The base defense and the base building is fun and awesome. The roguelite idea is really good for each run, but ultimately the maps have too much copy pasta and repeated content combined with a lack of threat, bad voice acting, all that kind of stuff to make the filler in between the good stuff actually compelling. And you're going to have to eat a lot of that filler before you get into the parts of the game that start to resemble something enjoyable. And that's a tough sell for a $25 game. I think if exploration mode had gotten another year or so of polish and variety and gotten up to the level of something like Chernobylite, which I really enjoyed despite its flaws, I'd probably be recommending the game right now. But it doesn't, so only buy this one if you're sure the technical bugs aren't going to crash you out, and if you're absolutely down with spending 3 or 4 hours of your time getting to the more fun bits of the game. For now, I'd keep an eye on it, wait for a sale in its current state, wait and see if they post-release support it. I'd pay like $10 for it, and I'd probably be happy with it. It's a game with a lot of systems that chafe and rub elbows with one another for a while. A lot of things are not going to make sense a lot of the time. There's also good stuff here, but there's like equally as much oof, like sort of canceling that out. I'll see y'all later. Thanks for stopping on in, and that's about all I got for you. Bye, folks.